The bus left the city at dawn, carrying 3 students and their tangled dreams. Emma sat by the window, her sketchbook open but untouched. She stared at the blank page, feeling the familiar weight of creative block pressing on her chest. Beside her, Aiden fiddled with his old analog camera, clicking the shutter without film inside, just to hear the sound, just to remind himself why he loved it. And across the aisle, Lily scrolled through her phone, looking at design portfolios that made her feel small, inadequate, like she was running a race she'd never win. They were heading to Ashford, a small town 2 hours away, known for its cobblestone streets, hand-painted murals, and a museum that still smelled like oil paint and time. It was supposed to be a creative escape, but each of them secretly wondered if they'd left their inspiration behind. The bus dropped them off in the town square. Ashford was exactly as the photos promised: charming, quiet, untouched by modern haste. Old brick buildings lined the streets. Flower boxes hung from windows. A musician played guitar on the corner, his voice soft and weathered. "This place feels like a postcard," Lily said, pulling out her sketchbook. Aiden raised his camera and clicked. "It feels real. That's better." Emma said nothing. She just looked around, hoping to feel something, anything, that would unlock the art trapped inside her. Their first stop was the Ashford Art Museum. It was small, intimate, filled with paintings from local artists, some famous, most forgotten. The walls were covered in landscapes, portraits, still lifes that seemed to hum with quiet life. Emma walked slowly through the rooms, pausing in front of a painting of a woman sitting by a window, her face turned toward the light. The brushstrokes were rough, imperfect, but somehow they captured something true. Aiden stood beside her. "You feel it?" "Feel what?" Emma asked. That she wasn't trying to paint perfectly. She was just trying to paint honestly. Emma stared at the painting, her chest tightening. "When did I stop being honest?" They left the museum and wandered through the streets. The murals were everywhere, sprawling across alley walls, tucked into doorways, painted on the sides of cafes and bookstores. One mural showed a girl releasing birds from her hands. Another showed an old man planting a tree. A third showed hands reaching toward each other across a dark sky. Lily stopped in front of a mural of a child holding a paintbrush like a sword. "This is what I want to make," she whispered. "Something that makes people stop. Something that matters." Aiden snapped a photo of her standing there framed by color and light. "You already do," he said quietly. Lily smiled, but her eyes were distant. "Do I?" By the river, they found street musicians playing old folk songs. The sound of the violin drifted over the water like a memory. They sat on the grass, eating sandwiches, watching the light change as the afternoon stretched into evening. Aiden lay back, camera resting on his chest. "Do you ever feel like you're chasing something you can't name?" Emma nodded. "Every day." Lily pulled her knees to her chest. "My parents keep asking when I'm going to get a real job. Like design isn't real. Like what I love doesn't count." Silence settled over them. Not uncomfortable, just heavy. Emma finally spoke. "Maybe we're all afraid of the same thing." "What's that?" Aiden asked. "That we're not good enough, that we'll never be." The words hung in the air like a confession. Later, as the sun began to set, They stumbled upon an old train station at the edge of town. It was abandoned, tracks overgrown with weeds, the platform cracked and faded. But inside the waiting room, someone had painted the walls. Massive murals covered every surface. Trains, travelers, faces filled with hope and longing. And in the corner, sitting on a wooden stool with a paintbrush in hand, was an elderly man. He was small, bent with age, his hands stained with decades of color. "Excuse me," Emma said softly. "Did you paint all of this?" The man looked up and smiled. "For 50 years. Every wall, every corner. This place was forgotten, so I gave it a new life." Aiden raised his camera. "Can I take your photo?" The man nodded. "Only if you tell me why you're here." Lily stepped forward. "We're art students. We came here looking for inspiration." The man set down his brush and studied them carefully. "And did you find it?" he asked. None of them answered. The man chuckled softly. "Let me tell you something. Inspiration isn't something you find. It's something you uncover. By doing the work, even when it feels pointless. Even when you're afraid." He pointed to the murals around them. "I didn't paint these because I was inspired. I painted them because I was here. Because I had hands and paint and time. And slowly, the inspiration came." He looked at Emma. "You're waiting for permission to create. But no one's going to give it to you. You have to give it to yourself." He turned to Lily. "You're worried people won't care. But the people who matter will. And that's enough." And finally, he looked at Aiden. "You're chasing the perfect shot. But the best photographs aren't perfect. They're true." The three students stood in silence, his words sinking in like rain into dry earth. That night, they sat together in a small cafe, notebooks and cameras spread across the table. Emma picked up her pen and began to draw, not perfectly, not carefully, just honestly. Lily opened her sketchbook and started designing something she had been too afraid to try. And Aiden loaded film into his camera for the first time in weeks. They didn't speak. They didn't need to, because something had shifted. On the bus ride home, Emma looked out the window at the fields rushing past. She thought about the woman in the painting, the murals on the walls, the old man in the train station. And she realized art wasn't about being perfect. It was about being present. It was about showing up, even when you felt empty, and trusting that the act of creating would fill you again. Aiden leaned over and whispered, "Thank you for coming with me." Emma smiled. "Thank you for bringing your camera." Lily looked up from her sketchbook. "We should do this again." "Definitely," Emma said. And for the first time in months, she felt light. The lesson: inspiration doesn't arrive like lightning. It grows quietly, in the spaces between doubt and action. Creativity isn't about waiting to feel ready. It's about starting before you are. And the most beautiful art doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from honesty, from the courage to create even when you're afraid. So pick up the brush, click the shutter, draw the line. Not because you're certain it will be great, but because you're here. And that's where all great things begin.